So, have you ever been to jail before? Have you ever been released from jail after being there for a short period of time? And to know that feeling, that feeling of freedom, that feeling of I can do whatever I want after being told what to do for so many days, being told when you can eat, when you can sleep, when you can shower, all these different things that jail controls you to do. But now when you get released, you get that first taste of freedom. It's like such a sweet feeling, but at the same time, if you do not have a plan, if you do not know what you're going to do with your life at that moment, it can be very, very frightening. And it can be very confusing as well, because you don't know what to do, and you don't know what am I going to do? How am I going to improve upon my life so I do not go back here again? Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself. So I've been released from jail approximately 25 different times, and every single time I got out, not every single time, but many times I got out, I didn't know whether I was going to go right or left. I didn't know whether I was going to walk north or south. I just got out without a plan at all. And it was tough, it really, really was. And many times it did not take long before I went back once again, before I was back in jail again. Sometimes it was the same day. There's at least 2 different times it was the same day I was arrested again. And it's terrible. It's awful. Like, how is that a way to live at all? I'm so excited to get out, and then all of a sudden right back in again. It's a terrible, awful feeling. It's a terrible, awful cycle. But that's what addiction does to you, because your addiction controls you, and my addiction made it so I would do anything for that addiction. Everything else took a backseat to my addiction. And when you're letting that control you like that, you don't have time for anything else. I don't have time to eat. I don't have time to sleep. I don't have time to drink water. I don't have time to do anything. I don't have time to brush my teeth. That's why I have fake teeth. So all those things that you let go in order for your addiction to have the level of addiction that you can have, where that just is everything. That becomes your God. That becomes your idol. What you have to do is to get high, because when I am not high, I hate my life. I hate everything about everything unless I am high. That's the only time I feel good. I wake up in the morning and I don't have anything to get high with. My body just feels absolutely terrible, and that's all I can think is, how am I going to get high? What can I do to not feel like this? Please let me not feel like this. What can I do? And then you'll do anything, any list of things you will do in order to get that, in order to be able to get high. That's why people do so many crazy things in this world, because drugs, they take over, and everybody's body's different. Your brain, how you respond to these drugs, it's different for each individual person. So each individual person will do different things in order to get their drugs, in order to get high, in order to get to where they feel okay. Because especially opiates, especially heroin, especially drugs like that, you get physically sick. You cannot move, you cannot function. The only thing I can do, I feel so bad, I hate it, oh, I feel so terrible. The only thing I can do is just think about getting high, and I will do anything in order to make that happen. So, and depending on your level of capacity, depending on your level of just experience with the world, what you can do, whether you can go steal from a store, whether you can go steal from your mom, whether you can go steal from a neighbor, whatever you can do to get that drugs, whatever you can do to get high, depending on who do you know that can get you your drugs, who do you know, the different levels of everything. There's different levels of it. So certain people never rise, above like a lower level addict, because they can't get things the way that someone else can. They don't have access to it because they don't know how to reach all these different people. They don't know how to go out and meet people. But everybody, there's always something that you can do, whether it's just something you take from a store that'll get you high. There's different things you can do, whether it's alcohol, boom, gets you high. Now you buy weed at the store, get you high. All these things take away. Back in my day, it was triple C's, it was Robitussin, these different things that you could go get at a store that will get me high, that will take me away from this place where my brain is, where I live. It'll take me away from there, and that's all that I care about. That's truly all that I care about at that moment. So back to me walking out of jail. So now I walk out of jail for the 25th time, but this just happens to be the very last time that I'm ever going to walk out of jail, and it was because I encountered somebody by the name of Jesus Christ while I was there. And I was actually prior to walking in there, but by doing that now, my life changed in every way possible. So on June 27th, 2023, which is a little bit over 3 years ago, I walked out of jail for what is the very, very last time. I will never step back in jail again, not as an inmate. And I promise you that, hand to God, that is the absolute truth. I will not go back in there. I won't do anything in my life to possibly put me in a situation to have to do that. Now, I'm careful. I stay on top of everything. I do everything, in a productive, constructive way. And my life has changed, ever since then. And it always, always, always will. But again, my life before Jesus was different. I walked out. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. But all I knew was that drive to not feel the way that I felt, scared, scared, confused, don't know what I want to do with my life, don't know where my life can possibly go. I don't want to feel that. So now I can go get high, boom, takes it all away. Now I feel okay. I remember I get out, I would go take my first hit and I would say, everything is right in the world again. That's what I used to say. It was my famous saying when I got out of jail. That's what I would speak. But it's terrible. Like, how can you live like that? How could I possibly live like that? How did I throw away 30 years of my life living like that, where I have absolutely nothing? Time and time and time again, I get arrested, go to jail. Any little bit of stuff that I acquired, boom, it's gone. I don't have that anymore. Then I got to do it all over again, and it's just a cycle that you just repeat and you can't get out of it. You just get caught in it, and that's addiction. I mean, that is addiction to a T. It's a cycle that you get caught in that you just cannot get yourself out of. And for me, and I think for many, and I think for anyone that truly wants to be free of addiction, it needs to be with Jesus. That's how that you can do it, because by that now I put my sights on something else. Now I have something else that gives my life that meaning that drugs once did. Drugs was that meaning for so long, but now my meaning is found in Jesus. Now it's living a life that is good. It's living a life that is positive. It's living a life where I treat others really, really well, and I care about others, and I try to do anything I can to be a blessing to others and try to make every single person that I interact with, I want it to be a blessing to them. I want to have a positive influence on them in their lives, whether it's my family, whether it's my friends, whether it's people I work with, whatever that may be. That's what I do, and that's what a Jesus-focused life does. And then there's the other parts of it. My church now, I got involved in 2 different churches, 2 different ministries. There's one in Herkimer, one in Utica. They're both amazing. They're both incredible. One is on Saturday and one is on Sunday. So now I go to church 2 days a week, and I'm involved. Me and my wife, we are greeters in the one ministry, and then at the other ministry, I'm a cameraman, and she is an usher / nursery that she works in. So we're making an impact there. We really, really are. And people love to see us. They're excited to see us. When we walk in there week after week, people are genuinely excited to see us. When is the last time you had, when I was an addict, when I was selling drugs, people are genuinely happy to see me because I'm going to get them high, because I can give them what they want. But as soon as I don't have that, as soon as I'm not able to give them something that they want, or God forbid they don't have money for it and I got to say no to them, you want to know what? They don't like me so much anymore. They're not nice to me so much anymore. And that's the difference between things. Once I was in that position with them, but now I'm just in this different position with the church and with everything. And it's just so, so, so much better. But in these 3 years time that I've been able to stay clean now for over 3 years, stay clean on the street clean is different than jail clean, because while you're in jail, you can't necessarily get stuff to get high. I mean, I guess you really, really can if you really try super hard, but it's not easy to do, and especially in county jail like I was, it's not easy. But now I have 3 years on the street clean, which is something I never thought I could do. After 30 years of addiction, 30 years of that is the only thing that consumed my life to be free of it and to be gone. It's only because of the grace of God, only because of Jesus Christ being in my life, that I'm able to do that. So, and now also in that time, in that 3 years time, I've had so many accomplishments that I never thought I could have again. I was able to get my license, my driver's license. I hadn't had a license since 2006, 2007 when I lost it, because I can't possibly pay a fine, because then that's money that's away from me buying the pills that I need, because I was addicted to opiates at that time. That's money that putting on a fine is money taken away from that, and that's where all my money went, was to supporting that habit. And then, so now I got my driver's license back. I was able to purchase 2 vehicles, not just one, but 2 different vehicles. I pay car insurance. I have all those responsibilities now, and I haven't been not even a day late on a pay. I haven't even been close to a due date on a bill, and that's awesome, because I went probably 20 years without even paying one single bill, because all my money went to drugs. You try to just steal from Peter to pay Paul. That's what you do, you know. So like my NIMO is going to get shut off. Okay, go to social services. Boom, I get it for another week. And you just do that over and over and just pray to God, you know, don't shut my power off today. And if I can just make it through one more day, but then there's nothing that ever comes of that extra day. So eventually you lose everything. Eventually you get as far down as you can possibly go. And that happened to me over and over and over again. You know, so now another thing that I was able to do is clean up my credit. Just 3 years time. You know, I started out with like a 580, I believe, when I first got out, which wasn't terrible because there was a point in time where it was way lower, but because I didn't have credit for so long, and a bunch of the stuff actually falls off after like 7 years of not paying and not being a part of something. It actually goes off your report. So my credit score was like a 580, which isn't like the worst thing in the world. Maybe it was a 480, 580, I can't remember. But 3 years time, you know, I'm well over 700 now. I was well able to get a mortgage, get approved for a mortgage recently. That was way more than anything I ever dreamed that I could get again. But that's just 3 years time of being focused and keeping Jesus first, that I was able to clean everything up, and I was able to take care of all of that. So that was one thing. And then like I said, I got married. I was married last July. We're coming up on our year anniversary, something I never thought I would do again. You know, I was married in my early teens, my early 20s, but that didn't last very long. So now I'm actually married again. And the thing is I'm coming up on a year of marriage, and we haven't even had a disagreement. We haven't had like one bad word to each other, and it's awesome. And it's because we're both living a Jesus-filled life. We're both living lives where we are trying to infuse God into our lives, where we're trying to put Jesus first place, where we just treat each other the way that Jesus would treat us, you know, and we look at that, and that's how that's how we're doing it. That's our secret right now. Then another thing that happened, like when I was in jail this last time, before I walked out on June 27, 2023, you know, I used to make a few different prayers. One of them was that, Lord, dear Lord, you know, I hope that someday I can meet my birth mother. I hope maybe I can find her and I can meet her, because I was born in Korea. I came here when I was only 1 year old. My mom stayed there, and I never ever met her. My father, my American father, brought me here. I never met her, but I was able to actually find her last year, go to Michigan, go stay with her at her house and meet her and meet that side of my family that I was ever able to meet. And now we just planned a trip for this year in August, where we're gonna go spend a weekend together. We got a big Airbnb, like this big mansion house, like it's amazing. And now that's my life now, because I'm keeping Jesus first place in my life. These are the things I'm able to do. Go spend time with family, go make memories that'll last a lifetime, things that for 30 plus years of my life I have none of. None of that is there for those years. So now in just this little amount of time, by keeping Jesus first, all these amazing things are happening. And then other thing, my daughter is pregnant. She's having a baby. You know, she sent me a message the other day and just said that how happy she was that I get to be in this child's life, and like how like she's just so happy that I get to be there and I get to do that, and what it means to her. And that means so much to me for her to say that, because I miss so much in her life and I feel so terrible about it, but I can't change it. So all I can do is just make sure I'm there from this point on. And that's what these 3 years clean, these 3 years of Jesus, that's what they've enabled to happen in my life. You know, and then like I said, we talked about the church, all the different church things that we're doing, and like you wouldn't believe it. Like we walk into a church, there are 100 people that are happy to see us. Like that's awesome, amazing feeling, you know. So now, and these are real relationships, these are real feelings, you know. It's not all that drug-induced stuff that I spoke about earlier. Now work, prior to, you know, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when I started working, which would have been like August 2023, early August 2023, I literally have not missed even a minute of work when I was supposed to be there. I am so responsible and I am so reliable. Like it's amazing. And it's because I always, when I'm there, I act like, you know, how would Jesus want me to be? You know, how would he treat this? You know, is he going to work as hard as he's going to work at all times? Because he was gifted these abilities, I was gifted these talents, so I'm going to use them at all times. And I'm not going to let anybody talk to me, you know, get me down, and I'm going to always be upbeat and positive. That's the person that I am now. And I've been very successful at doing that, you know, to where I moved up at my other job, and now my new job, you know, where I'm moving up pretty rapidly. You know, I'm very, very good at my job, even though I've never done it before. I'm able to do that very, very well. And then you talk about health, you know, for the longest time, like doctor's appointments, like when you're actively using and stuff, like everything is based around you being high. If I just happen to be that sweet spot of being high, I'll go to an appointment. But God forbid I'm sick, if I don't have anything, or if I'm trying to go get something, That's going to come first over any appointment, over any possible thing that I can do in my life. That's going to trump it. That's going to come first. So, but now I have been regularly with all my appointments. I got a yearly physical last year. I didn't have to get one for a whole nother year. All my levels are back up. My body's regenerated, and it's amazing how it does that. It's amazing how God created us in a way that our body actually regenerates when you take care of it. Even after all that time of not taking care of it, all that time of pushing it to the brink, where I wasn't eating, where I wasn't drinking, all those different crazy things where I'm just getting high, staying up hours upon hours, not sleeping. My body is actually able to regenerate itself to a point where I only have to be seen once a year by the doctor. Like, that's an amazing thing. And I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel better. I literally feel better than I've ever felt in my entire life since I was like maybe 12 years old. I remember like a summer in when I was like 12 where I felt great and I was like so active. But aside from that, I feel better now than I've ever felt in my entire life. And that's just 3 years, literally 3 years of changing my life, of putting Jesus first. All these amazing things are able to happen, and then so many other things that I do. I have so many different ministries that I'm part of, so many Bible studies I do, and I'm relied upon, and I can be there, and I am reliable. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be there, and people know that about me, and that's a big thing, and when you do that, you're bringing glory to God when you do things like that, because that's what he would want for us, for our lives, is to be reliable, and you're making him very happy when you do those kinds of things like that, and now I make these YouTube videos in order to help others. My one friend is just going back to jail again right now, and he's got to go do like a few months in prison and all that, and like these videos and stuff, like he tells me that they inspire him, and I've had a number of people reach out to me about, hey, I want to start going to church, and a number of people have actually came to church, so I'm able to plant those seeds now, and people actually see different in me. Like, nobody sees me as an addict anymore. Like, a girl the other day said to me, she's like, I'm not gonna lie, I really thought you were gonna be a lifer. That's what she said. But she said, so it's awesome to see the change in you and to see how things are now. Like, she said, it's an amazing thing to see, and I love it. I love people that say that to me and everything. So basically, I just want to be hope for addicts. I want to be hope that there is a better way. I used to say to people that told me, hey, when I get out, I'm going to stay clean, I said, please do it, please do it. Show me that it's possible. Show me it's possible to get out, because at that time, I hadn't known anybody who had gotten out. All I'd seen is people die, overdose, die. People take their lives. Prison for, I'm going to go prison 20 years now, 25 years in prison. That's what was happening to all the people that I was in association with. And now to see like me actually get out and actually be successful and actually be happy doing it. It's not so much about the success level, it's the fact that I'm happy doing it, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I really, really do. I absolutely love it. So, I just want to invite everyone that if anyone ever wants to come to church, please just reach out to me and I will get you there. I will help you get there, whether it's in Utica, whether it's my Herkimer ministry, the Utica ministry. I will help you get there. And there's a number of other things that we do as well that I could help you be a part of. And, for anyone who really wants to, being saved, when you talk about being saved, that's one thing I didn't really understand before. I didn't understand, what does it mean to be saved? Well, when you're saved, it just means that you dedicate your life to Jesus Christ. So basically, they say, if you can repeat these words, if you can say after me, dear Lord Jesus, I repent of my sins. Please redeem me for everything that I've done in my life that has went against what you created me for, the purpose that you created me. Please redeem me of that, Lord, and I will follow you from this day forth. I will keep you in my thoughts from this day forth in everything that I do. And then you just basically, you say those words, and then it changes, then you're changed. Now that say that you're born again. But now it's more than that. You can't just say those words and then just walk through life and just say, hey, I'm born again, I'm great. It's more than that, because now you have to live that way. You have to live with Jesus in your heart. You have to live with Jesus in your mind, in your thoughts. And people need to see Jesus in you. And that's what I pray for every day, that people will see Jesus in me in everything that I do. So I did create this ministry in order to try to encourage others. And I feel like I've done that a little bit, but I hope that it can reach out, and I hope that it can do more in this world just to help others. I really want to show people that it is possible, and that there is happiness after addiction. There is happiness after a lifetime of failure. There is happiness, and there is a freedom in it that you never thought possible before. So I love you. I appreciate you. God bless you all. Remember, as nice as it is to be important, it is infinitely more important to be nice. God bless.